Book Impressions, A Mind at Play, How Claude Shannon Invented the Information Age, Part 3. This is the section about how Shannon was playing the stock market. I find it a fascinating section because here's the guy who single-handedly creates information theory. So a theory of how information works. And his fundamental insight is that in order to have information, you need to have counterfactuals, zeros and ones, and then build on that. We call them bits now, and from there you build a whole theory of information. He's this famous professor. He's at MIT. He gives lectures about the stock market. He actually speculates in the stock market himself. Now, fundamentally, what he does is make a lot of money with venture investments. So that's how he actually makes the money. He's an early shareholder in Teledyne, he's an early shareholder in Motorola, and he's a shareholder in HP. So that's how he actually makes the money. But what's interesting is that people believe that he has some sort of, maybe not secret code, but insight into how to make money in the markets with technicals, with mathematical, algorithmic approaches towards the markets. And his answer to that is actually no, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. This is not how it works. It actually works exactly the other way around. You find a company that has growth prospects, good people, good market position, and then you hold on. That's how he actually makes the money. And this resonates very deeply with us here at Orange Capital Partners. So I want to link actually this book impression conversation to the general purpose of this podcast, which is to give people a sense for what it feels like to run a hedge fund. That's the purpose of this podcast. We at Orange Capital Partners, we are highly of the belief that your degree of freedom in the market is really only one, which is you buy the company that will generate the wealth, and you can only generate wealth with deploying capital to somebody who is going to generate wealth. There is no such thing as generating wealth on top of the market. Now, the pushback, of course, is people would say, what are you talking about? There are very successful hedge funds out there that make a lot of money with algorithmic trading and things along those lines. And the answer is first, there might be people out there who are temporarily able to make money. Over the long run, they will all go out of business, and they will be bailed out by the Fed or by Wall Street, or they have different funds and they continuously build new funds. They enrich themselves, of course, but from a wealth creation perspective, there is no wealth to be created. There is probably some value in what I call taking liquidity risk, which is what most of these algo funds actually are doing. They are holding assets for a certain period of time and extracting a certain premium for that. If they do it legally, then it's a liquidity risk they're taking. If they do it illegally, then they just have inside information. And by the way, this can be in milliseconds. If they know that, let's say, a large order is coming from somewhere, they can quickly buy something and then sell it. That's called insider trading, even though it's in milliseconds, even though it might be legal because it's so fast that these algo traders are, acting in a space that is beyond the legal system. Or you have insider information like we have, let's say, in our Congress, where people like Nancy Pelosi are able to make money insider trading without being put in handcuffs. Nevertheless, my point here is that unless you're either Nancy Pelosi or an algo trader that has millisecond access to trade flows and also therefore can execute and make money that way by scalping, unless you're in those two camps, you will not be able to make money using mathematics, using technicals, using any of that stuff. So the only way you can actually make money, and this comes from Claude Shannon, this comes from the guy who actually built information theory, has a mathematical background, and in my opinion, has a very strong voice in understanding how analytical methods can solve puzzles, such as, for example, making money in the stock market. So from him, very plain is like the best way to make money is to find a company that deploy your capital with a management team and employees that have a certain way to generate wealth. Now, in his time, as well as in today's time, this is fundamentally new concepts in engineering practices, in other words, technology. Now, that alone is not enough. As we know, like there's a lot of technology companies out there that are not able to generate wealth. So a lot of things have to come together. You have to be a deep tech company solving very difficult problems, and those problems have to be monetizable by offering value to people. And that's the key, right? And then you have to have a scalable model. You have to be able to rapidly innovate and scale, and that speed has to continuously compound into more knowledge, more market power, and more value to the customer. If you have a business like that, you will not be eroded by competition. You will be able to reinvest your earnings and cash flows, and therefore you'll be able to compound your returns and compound your knowledge. That's the key. You have to be able to compound your knowledge. What do I mean with that? It's very important. Like, let's say Kentucky Fried Chicken is a great business, but there just isn't any compound knowledge there. The recipe and things like that are, it is what it is. Like, you don't have compound knowledge. But for example, Tesla has a lot of compound knowledge. You know how to build an electric car. You know how to build an FSD. You know how to deploy cybercabs. You know how to build them at scale for low cost. So you have a lot of knowledge that compounds, and by the way, it compounds with iteration. Of course, it's not just time; it compounds with iteration, and those are the kinds of things that really generate the kind of wealth that we say is generational wealth, and that's the kind of wealth that we're after at Orange Capital Partners. So to summarize again, it's very refreshing to read the biography of Claude Shannon, the creator of information theory, a highly regarded mathematician who's been around people like von Neumann and Gödel, and I don't know if he was around Gödel, but people like that at Bell Labs, the height of intellectual achievement, the height of analytical intellectual achievement in the US. And his conclusion as far as the stock market is concerned is congruent with ours, which is invest in fundamentally growing strong technology companies and hold on. Thank you.